Hi, it's Terry Gaines. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and I have a fun window card to share with you today. The stamps I used are the Have a Hoot in the August through December 2020 mini catalog. There are so many cute little owls in this stamp set, and you can utilize any of them. I'm actually going to show you a Halloween card using this, along with the frame in the Framed for You stamp set that is in the annual catalog. So I'm going to set those aside, and we're going to start out with a piece of Whisper White cardstock that is 5 1/4 by 8, scored at 4. And I'm going to fold on the crease and use a bone folder to crease this. I'm going to stamp on this with the Birch background stamp. These are large stamps. They come with a wood block, or you can get the cling and purchase a clear block. When I'm using the background stamps, I like to use these by placing them upside down and inking the stamp with bringing the ink pad to it. I'm going to use the Smoky Slate ink pad color, and I'm just tapping it across the stamp to get a good coverage and just getting the ink on the surface of the stamp. Then I'm going to bring the cardstock or the card to the stamp. And what I'm going to do is just bring this down, and it is going to have a border around it so I can place it down. And then I like bringing a scrap piece of cards or paper, typing paper, or any type of paper, and use the flat of my fingers to apply good pressure. I find the flat of the fingers will give you a better coverage than the fingertips. And then I can take this, and this gets all that excess ink on it so I can avoid getting it on my hands. And there we have the birch bark on the card front here. As I mentioned, I'm going to use the little owl. That's a Halloween image, and I'm going to stamp this on the inside of the card. I am going to use basic gray for my ink pad color, and I will be coloring in these images with the Stampin' Blends. Typically we stamp with the Memento ink when we use the blends, but I'm not going to do a lot of coloring and a lot of blending, so I'm going to stamp with the basic gray. So now that I have that stamped, I am going to use the blends to color these in. I'm using Pumpkin Pie to color in the little feet, and I tend not to use a lot of stamps that require coloring in. And the reason is I don't do a good job coloring in. I think I like the solid stamps, but I have found that I really love the blends for coloring in images. And I'm not I don't watercolor, I don't have a good sense of the shading, but with the blends, they color in so nicely, and it actually makes it kind of fun, and I do enjoy coloring in a few images. And I admire all the crafters who create those beautiful watercolored images. And so I'm just using the light Smoky Slate for the owl, and for the tree portion I'm going to use the light Crumb Cake. So the nice thing about the blends is there's a brush tip on one end, which allows you to color in for those larger areas, and there is a fine tip on the other end. So I'm going to just use that to color in this part of the branch. So I usually try to prep all the work on my projects as much as possible to cut down on video time for my videos, but on this card I'm just going to quickly color those in. And as I mentioned, I don't do a real good job with it, but I think it looks good for the project. So now what I want to do is I want to cut a window out of this front panel so that owl image can be seen through the window. So what happens is if I cut it out here, I might not get it cut out correctly. So what I'm going to do, and I've done this work ahead of time, is I took the largest layering square dies, the straight one. You also get a scalped one with the die set. And then I took the fourth largest one and cut out a piece of whisper weight cardstock. And then what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to attach some mini glue dots on here. So what I'm also did was I cut a frame for the outside of the card. And that one I used the second largest and the fourth largest. And I actually stamped this one already. And I have another video that I will link to in my blog post and also on this YouTube post to show you how I actually did that. But back to this piece, and I probably could have prepped putting some of these mini glue dots on prior to the video starting, but I've got a few on there. So what I'm going to do is take this frame and I make it the same color as my card base, and I'm going to place it over the image with the mini glue dots facing up so I can kind of see how I want this to appear through the window. And I'm also going to watch the sides and the top to make sure that I've got this in equal spacing and I have this inside square squared up with the card, and then I'm going to close it. As I mentioned, the smallest piece is the fourth smallest die or largest die, and that cut out this inside window. So what I'm going to do now is bring in the new cut and emboss machine, and hopefully this shows up on my video okay. So this is brand new. We can just purchase this today. What I'm going to do is bring the platforms over. The nice thing about this new die setup, all the plates are numbered and there's pictures on that tell you how to set up the platform. So what I'm going to do is take this die, place it right inside this frame, and it fits in nice because it kind of falls right into place like a puzzle piece. And put the top plate on here, and I could tell I moved it. Let's see, there we go. Oops, it's moving on me. So that's what happens with a different angle, and maybe I should have brought that. There we go. There we go. I can tell it's in place. So there we go. I'm going to just do that. And then I'm going to put it in here and crank this through. And it's going to cut out the window right where I want it to be. And that's the best way I have found to cut out that window. And now when I take this off, I have a window right where I want it to be and lined up according to how I wanted it to be placed. So that works out great. The next thing I'm going to do is adhere this card to a postcard that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, a postcard size cardstock. And I have that cut out of basic gray. And there should be about 1/8 of an inch border around all 4 sides. So I watch opposite corners, look for equal spacing on sides, top and bottom, and drop that into place. Then what I'm going to do is take this frame and I'm going to put mini glue dots on this frame. There's multiple different adhesives you can use to do this. I'm just going to drop this onto my roll of mini glue dots. You could use the multi-purpose adhesive glue. You could use the seal, the Stamp and Seal. You might want to grab the craft pad when you use that, because this frame is not as wide as the sealed adhesive. But before I put this on, I'm thinking a little cute spider web would look nice right there. So what I'm going to do is take this spider web, and we're going to add a little bit of color to this. I'm going to take the Smoky Slate ink, take a section of a stamping sponge. My videos are unedited. They do contain bloopers, misspoken words, and sometimes I catch them, sometimes I don't. But if I was showing you this in person, they would also contain misspoken words. So I have just sponged a little bit of gray on here just to give it a little bit of a coloring on here. I'm going to place that in that corner like so. I'm going to take my paper snips. Now I need to trim a little bit of this off because I want it just in that frame. So I'm going to trim it off here and trim it off here. And then what I'm going to do is set that down. I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool, and then I'm going to place my mini glue dot right where I want them to be. And you know, sometimes this goes smoother when the camera's not rolling. When the camera's rolling, then things don't always go as planned, but that's sometimes how it is. And then I have one in the corner. We're going to just drop one more, double up that corner one. And now what I can do is take this. I'm going to place my fingers inside this window. And as I mentioned, it doesn't go smooth with the camera on. But what I've done several of these. What I do is I put my fingers in here to help guide where this frame is going to drop into place, and drop that frame into place. So now we have the wood frame on the outside. We've got a little cobweb right there, just a great little spot for that to be. For the sentiment on the outside, I have a piece of Whisper White cardstock that is cut at 3/4 by 2.5. I'm going to use the new banner punch that is in the August through December annual catalog or mini catalog. And then I have the basic gray that is a 1 inch by 2 5/8. I'm going to cut the two little banners out here to be layered. I have the sentiments that are in the stamp set, and this stamp set has some cute sentiments. And if you didn't notice, it also has Christmas along with the Halloween. So there are some wonderful options in here. So what I'm going to do is take basic gray ink and the sentiment that says "Have a Hoot on Halloween." And I'm going to just stamp this on my grid paper, making sure that I have it lined up appropriately for being square on my stamp. I think I've done a nice job. Sometimes I don't get it on there straight, and sometimes I don't stamp straight. So I have that stamped. I am going to use the Stamp and Seal to, oh goodness, I think I'm trying to hurry along because I'm starting from doing so much of the card making, and I don't want to make the video too long that I'm rushing, so I need to slow down. So there I have the Have a Hoot on Halloween. This is the Stamp and Seal. I found that I'm starting to really love this as long as I have a light touch and an ever so lightly twist at the end. I'm going to place this right on this corner. And then what we can do on the inside, there is a little stamp, that image sentiment stamp that says Boo. We'll stamp Boo on the inside. And there we have a cute little window card made with the Have a Hoot stamp set. And I also have another version here that is made with the Christmas, one of the Christmas images. So there is so many fun things you can do with this stamp set. And for this one, I've added some of the red gingham, or the red rhinestones. Oh my gosh, I gotta slow down, and used a couple different colors on that. But I hope you enjoyed this project. It can be utilized for so many different stamp images. And if you found me via YouTube, look in the comments section for a direct link to my blog post where you'll find the supply list, measurements, and instructions for this project. I have a PDF tutorial you can download. I would love to have you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click the red box under the video. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope you enjoyed creating this project with me. Stay safe and stay healthy.